As a revolutionary era of technology and development has allotted itself in the basis and fundamentals of society, we now have an unexpected issue of environmental conditions in our society today. We have climate change and global warming, the icebergs melting, etc. This all happened due to development in several countries. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin my speech, I'd like to define several words. First of all, I'd like to define developed countries, which I would say are the majority of first and second world countries. I'd like to define higher obligation as most of the responsibilities that these countries have to take. I'd like to define climate change as a cause from these development that has appeared in the history today. Ladies and gentlemen, as a first opposition speaker, I'd like to give 3 reasons to why the motion does not stand. That higher countries, that first and second world countries have a higher obligation towards climate change. We would like to define the team stance as higher developed countries should take part and should take responsibility, but not a higher and not most of the responsibility. Our first reason would be the causation of this problem. The other side may say that the cause is to the higher developed countries. We'd like to say, who is to suggest that these countries should not have developed so far? Should we have just stayed in the dark ages without any cars, any technology whatsoever? We believe that this is only an impractical blame that is put on these countries. We strongly contend that this is actually in a worldwide basis. All countries have to work together to solve this problem. It is not only a problem that could be solved in these first and second world countries. We would like to also mention from the Industrial Revolution to the current time, it is not only the fault of these first and second world countries, but I would like to mention, ladies and gentlemen, that it is also the fault of these third world countries that are currently putting the issue of these climate changes and these global warming. For example, Brazil is one of these developing countries, and they're the ones that are destroying the Amazon rainforest in the current society. It is not to say, although we agree to the fact that these first and second world countries have caused this issue of global warming today, it is the developing countries that are actually leading to a more serious problem in the status quo. I'd like to move on to a second argument, which is about the economic crisis and the status quo. The status quo, ladies and gentlemen, is the economic crisis and the subprime mortgage crisis going on in America. With this extra burden of giving a higher obligation to these first and second world countries, wouldn't they retaliate in fear and with higher burden that they cannot solve this problem? It is, as I mentioned before, a worldwide problem that all countries should be a part of. With this burden of the economic crisis and the subprime mortgage crisis going on in several other countries, it can prove to be too much for these first and second world countries to handle. I'd like to move on to our last argument, which is about unilateral measures. In the UN, no unilateral measures and resolutions have ever passed in the Security Council or the General Assembly. It is only the multilateral resolutions that have ever passed these situations. We believe that if one place in the world is working on developing their nation, and in one place they're actually saving their environment, it will only seem to be a useless measure, because if one country is working on their development and if one country is saving the environment, it will only be equal, and it would not lead to further developments. So in this, ladies and gentlemen, we tend to oppose the motion that the stance does not stand that developed countries should not have a higher obligation, but although they may have some obligation, the whole world should unite and act as one to solve this motion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.